Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, everybody. This is Jason Weiss. I am here after an extra week off on the Going Solo Network, the Ask Jason Weiss show. I am your host, Jason Weiss. I am also a what I am calling myself now as a legal consultant, and I am helping others find their way, find their passion, and learn. So I am Jason Weiss. Nothing in here today is considered legal advice. And should you need legal advice, consult an attorney. Nothing I am saying here is legal advice. So I'm going to get right into it. I do have a guest who is going to be hopefully joining us any minute now from the Bahamas. But as part of the practice of law, it is you got to go with the flow. And hopefully some of you can see that Stefan John just joined us. And I'm not sure if he can hear us or not. Steph, can you hear me speaking? I guess he can't hear me speaking, but he's not hearing me, and only bits and pieces of it. So I'm not sure what we're gonna do. He might just look pretty for us for the show for a minute or two, and we'll bump him out. And I'll go in again. Practice of law. It's go with the flow and
Hey,
do what you got
yep.
to do.
Can you guys hear me now?
We hear you, Steph.
It seems as if you guys could hear me, but I'm not hearing you clearly. I'm only hearing as if you guys are turning on like a microphone and then turning it back off.
Well, we hear you and we're live. So Steph, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Stefan John, I am a recent associate with Jason. I graduated law school from the University of Miami. Seems as if it was long ago, but it's not too long ago. I graduated 3 years ago, and 2019, I graduated law school, and I've been practicing law for just about 3 years. And so far, so good, no regrets. I'm originally from Trinidad. Moved to the States for undergrad. I first went to undergrad at St. John Fisher in Rochester, New York. It's very cool. And then I moved down south to the warmer weather, and I've been in Florida ever since. I spent some time in Bradenton, where I worked at the IMG Sports Academy. I was most involved in soccer over there, and then and then I started my law school career, and then eventually ended up working for Jason. And the type of law that I do right now is I've done a hybrid in a good way. I've done some business transaction. I've done business litigation. Sorry, I've done transactional, and especially now with Jason, I'm doing a lot more in the TCPA world, Telecommunication Protection Act. I also do a little bit of intellectual property, more specifically trademarks. Let's see. So I would say mostly transactional business litigation in terms of my areas of law.
So you mentioned
just to touch on the TCPA. TCPA, like I said, it's a Telecommunications Protection Act, and it's really in place to protect consumers from sort of getting cold called, right? A lot of times you may have been in a position where you've gotten a call from a company that's talking about your expired car warranty, right? And the Telephone Consumer Protection Act has been put in place, and is in place of since 1991, and really its main purpose is to protect the consumers from, like I said, the cold calling, the excessive calling, and sort of invasion into your personal life, right? Your cell phone, your residential phone, and like I said, the TCPA was put in place to protect the consumers and to sort of make it an even playing field, so to speak, right? You sort of not allowing one company to get too much of your attention and sort of bombarding you with calls and sales pitches. Without your consent, right? A big part of the TCPA is consent. And with Jason's firm, Jason's been doing the TCPA work for a long time, and I'm fairly new to it. But it's an interesting area of law, and it's I think it's
Well,
in a
we're
way,
having a
it's beneficial to you because it's also
So I think Steph is breaking up a little bit. So I'm going to get into the abuse of the TCPA. So the TCPA is the TCPA is basically it puts you in there so that you don't get the excessive calls. And again, the law is depending on who you ask. As a defense attorney, I'm going to have a different opinion than a plaintiff's attorney. But as a defense attorney, what I'm going to tell you about with the TCPA is, you get one phone call and you ask to not be called again. The company did what they were supposed to do. If you get 20 phone calls and you've asked 20 times in order to stop, then something is going on. Now, there are a lot of abuses in this area of the law. There is the bait and switch. There is the opportunity to go ahead and, I've heard it before where, I don't want to talk about a warranty right now. My spouse makes all the decisions. Go ahead and call my spouse, and here's his or her number. And they call that person on the phone and they say, great, your husband told us to give you a call. And next thing you know, boom, you're getting hit with a lawsuit for the TCPA. So that's one of the abuses. So there's got to be a balance between the abuse of the TCPA and the protection of the person who is, receiving these phone calls. And there is a fine line, and there are a lot of people that do it, and there's a lot of people that basically abuse it. And there's, again, you got to walk that fine line. So again, we are having a little bit of technical difficulties with Steph. He's down in the Bahamas. I guess one of the things that I can say is one of the benefits he gets from practicing law is that he can go ahead and he can do it from the Bahamas. He can do it from New York. He can do it from wherever he is physically. Now, again, he's only licensed in Florida, so he's only practicing Florida law. But he can be physically almost anywhere he wants. And it's funny because this is something that I never had in my career until I went out on my own. When I worked for law firms, when I worked for everything, I went ahead and I needed to basically sit at my desk all the time. And I was in the office 6 days a week minimum. Every Saturday I was in. And then I went ahead and started to, post COVID, not go in as much, started working out of the house more often. And now I sit in my house and I work, 5 days a week, and I only go in 1 day a week. I'm still working the 6 days. Heck, you can ask my wife. I'm probably working 7 days a week. But it's the type of thing that, it's going with the flow. And again, the perfect example is this show today. I got Steph sitting there, looking great, enjoying some free time for himself. He's a guest on the show today, and I'm just trying to wing it with him, and we're going to do that. And that's why it's called the practice of law. You practice it and you get it right. You constantly strive for the best that you can do. And that is what we do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Steph a question, and let's see if he can answer it. And if we have technical problems, I'll make up my own answer. It's okay. It'll be like, going ahead and, it'll be like going ahead and getting thrown a curveball by a judge. So I'm going to ask Steph why he went to law school to begin with. So Steph, if you can hear me, why did you go to law school? Why did you go to school?
So I decided to go to law school. Um, well, I'd say I started when I first decided to go to law school. I was working at IMG. The reason I decided to go to law school was, I guess, two reasons. The main reason was I had a heavy interest in sports. I spent a lot of my time playing sports, spent a lot of my time watching sports, and I was really interested in sports and how the sports and law sectors combine and what could be done within sports and law. And IMG, like I said, that's where I interned before law school. IMG it's an international boarding school. It first originated with tennis. Nick Bollettieri behind IMG Academy, and so, like I said, it's an international boarding school. The sports include golf, tennis, soccer, basketball. They just recently implemented volleyball. They're also going to start gaming. There's baseball. There's lacrosse. So there are a variety of sports and a variety of athletes, student athletes of all different ages and from a lot of different backgrounds. Um, while I was there, I was involved in the soccer department, soccer operations, and eventually ended up coaching soccer. And I landed my job at IMG. Funny story. Originally, while I was in undergrad, I was offered an internship at IMG, and this was roughly about 10 years ago. And it was around the time where there was a lot of debate and unanswered questions regarding the use of interns and on being unpaid. So I was, like I said, I was offered the position at IMG, and about a month before I was supposed to start, I got a call from my supposed to be boss, my soon to be boss, saying that they're discontinuing the internship program, and sort of good luck and sorry for the inconvenience. So what I did, I didn't take that as a slap in the face. I didn't take that as a demotivator. What I did was I kept in contact with Matt. He would have been my boss at the time. I kept in contact with him, and eventually, once that semester finished, there was a full-time position that opened up which would have been for the internship. But now, like I said, there were issues concerning unpaid interns. So what they did is they made that internship into a full-time position, and I applied. I applied through the normal channels and interviewed. I had a good meeting with Matt when I went up to IMG, and I eventually got the job. So it was really how I landed the job. Staying dedicated, keeping my goal and my focus, keeping my eye on the target. Right, I didn't really I didn't really take any shortcuts. I could have just turned an eye to IMG when I was first when they first rescinded the offer. But I was determined to be in sports. I was determined to challenge myself, and I just, like I said, I kept in contact with Matt, and I applied through the normal channels, and eventually I interviewed and I got the position, and I was there for 2.5 years, and I have no regrets. I've made a lot of good connections, strong connections at IMG that I still maintain to this day, and it's taught me a lot, and I continue to learn through my day-to-day interactions with not only Jason but clients and just associates, colleagues.
So we're almost to the point, and I'll talk for a minute or two, that we're going to go to our commercial break, because we have just wonderful sponsors who help us out and to do all that kind of stuff. And when we get back, one of the questions that I'm going to pose to Steph has to do with, as a parent, and this is me as a parent, what should you do for your son or daughter that wants to go on and play in college? What else is what could you do from both the IMG internal working standpoint to being an athlete and to being a lawyer? So again, we're rolling with the punches on these technical difficulties, and I'm sure Steph will be, when he's not traveling, he will be able to come back on again. But for now, what we'll do is we'll go into a commercial break, and I'm going to go ahead and preload a couple of questions for Steph, and we'll get into there. So please let's roll into our commercials. Thank our wonderful sponsors, and we'll go from there. Okay. So we are back. Thank you for our sponsors, our great commercials. I actually love the music that plays for some of that. And we have Steph John, who is sitting with us right now, whose motto is "Let's build bridges and not walls." He is sitting in the Bahamas, enjoying himself. A little bit of work and pleasure all rolled into one. One thing that me as a teacher, as a mentor, as somebody who's looking to work with incredible people like Steph, is that I phrase it differently. As I just said it, I like to work with incredible people like Steph. Steph is still in the more traditional mold where he says he works for, or he works. I don't play that game. For me, yes, my name happens to be on the firm. Yes, I do make the decisions at the end of the day, and I do get to deal with those types of things. But at the end, it's a team effort. It is 100%. And I look at it as that he and I work together. Everybody, we all work together, from the person that handles the bills to the person that handles the books, to my dad who was doing our computer scanning. I mean, he came in. He's part of the team. He doesn't work for me. He works with me. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to teach Steph. He's a phenomenal attorney, knows the law, really smart, works his tush off. And he can't hear any of this. So he's just sitting there pretty. He doesn't know we're talking about him right now. But the truth of the matter is, the little things that I plan on teaching, and hopefully we can pass it down from generation to generation, that's my goal. That's what I am into this coaching, consulting, and doing. And I want to just be the eternal mentor. I want to teach. I want the time. And I love it. So one of the things I'm going to ask Steph right now, getting back into his days of IMG, is what kind of advice would he give parents of high school students that want to go on to college and play a sport? And he'll probably interrupt me. So here he goes. He's muted. We can't hear him. So he said it all. So I'm going to tell him to please go ahead.
Question is, what advice would I give to parents of high school students who want to play college, want to go on to college and play sports? Probably the most important piece of advice is let your kid play. And what I mean by that is allow them to experience losing, allow them to experience winning, and look on from the sideline, and don't necessarily try to be another coach, right? I see a lot of parents on the sideline trying to coach and trying to do too much. Because my first year of law school, I coached soccer. I coached U12 girls, and I also coached U19 girls. And a big issue that I saw was parents trying to be the coach as well, right? So when I say let the kids play, it's important for the kids to experience losing experience, winning experience, getting into an altercation with another player, getting into arguments. And it builds not only character, but it builds the sort of sport IQ, because you're not always going to be coached per se, right? You're going to have a coach, but at some point, the player, the student is going to be on the field, and they're going to have to sort of maneuver on their own, right? So my advice is allow your kids to play, allow them to have fun, but still maintain within them the end goal, right? It's always important to stay focused on your end goal and know where you want to be. But between getting to your end goal and where you're at, it's always important to have fun. So my advice, allow the kids to have fun, make sure they stay focused on the end goal, and just do less coaching and just more supportive. And it really goes a long way. So that's my advice. Grades you can negotiate with that, right? Your grades have to be up, your grades have to be good, because I mean, by definition, student athlete, right? Student comes first, athlete comes second. So it's crucial, it's imperative that they remain focused on on their studies, their grades. A big part of my upbringing was no sport unless my grades are in line, right? I mean, at some points, I sort of I didn't like that. I didn't like that rule, and I would get into a lot of arguments with my dad. But at the end of the day, I think it served its purpose, because you could get injured in a split second, and you have nothing to fall back on, right? I know that's always the thing that parents say. What happens if you get injured? You're going to have to you need your grades. So grades are there's no debate, there's no negotiation with grades. I think it's, like I said, it's imperative that you remain focused and you remain level-headed and focus on your school, but at the same time be able to have fun and play, right? Best class in law school me about law. To teach me about law. That's a tough one, but best class in law school to teach me about law. I would say it would have to be civil procedure, right? Federal civil procedure taught me about law.
And that's with the
The day
day-to-day
to day
stuff.
about law. I don't think there was a class that really taught me the day to day about law. I think you learn more about the day to day of law practicing law, right? I wish I had a class that taught me the day to day about law, but I guess that's why I have Jason now. But it's civil procedure taught me about law in general, but the day to day, I mean, I was never really taught day to day of law in law school, right? It's really through internships, through my clerkships, and just experience. That's really how I learned about day to day in law.
And what was the most shocking thing when you got into the real world of law?
The most shocking thing of when I got into the real world of law is how little they teach you in law school about the real world of law. Very simple.
And do you think, would you make a recommendation that they taught you that they taught something like that in law school?
Law school, yes, I recommend law school 100% if you're committed to the end goal, right? If you want to be an attorney, if you want to practice law, if you're really invested in law, yes, I 100% recommend law school. But it's not just enough to say, okay, I'm going to law school. You really need to apply yourself, read, um, and really immerse yourself in the law, right? So I think, yes, I would recommend law school if you're really committed and you're really invested in it.
So what are you currently reading with law, and what are you currently reading for personal?
What am I currently reading for law? Um, I read a lot of the TCPA articles, a lot of TCPA World articles, and intellectual property articles. And really, if I come across an issue that I've never heard of, or a case, I mean, it's nothing for me to Google it and just sort of do my own personal research on it, right? I'm not really subscribed to one specific platform. I just sort of whatever issue or element or course of action or topic that I'm not too familiar with, I just try to do my own research on my own, and just really just read up on it.
So we're working this summer with a first year law school student, and he'll be on at some point during the summer, and we'll have him on and we'll ask him some questions. But what would you tell a 1L to do this summer in order to get most out of a 1L summer? What would you tell? And a 1L is a first year law school student.
My advice to 1L this summer: get involved, and get your hands dirty. Right, get an internship during the summer. If it's whether it's in-house, whether it's in a law firm, I can't stress the importance of getting experience. Right, getting into a law firm, you're not gonna know everything. You're gonna feel shy, but it's important to get in there and just sort of get used to it. And that's really my advice. Put yourself out there, market yourself, and create resources. Create a Rolodex of individuals that you could not only reach out to, but you could learn from. And the earlier you do it, the better it is.
So kind of like a mentor. So I guess the question would be, what about a mentor? What would you look
For me,
for?
in a mentor, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for someone that's patient. I'm looking for someone that's invested in the law, and not just in the law, but shares some of my same goals. Right. For example, Jason is he's a great mentor, and for numerous reasons. One being he's invested in the law. He's patient. He's invested in teaching. He wants to teach. He wants to help you get to that next level, and he's seasoned, right? He's been there. He's taught sports law. He's been in that environment, and that's what I look for in a mentor. Someone who has experience, someone who's willing to learn with you, someone who's willing to teach you, and someone who's really there to not necessarily hold your hand, but to prepare you before you go into battle. And it's really about being confident and really having someone next to you that sort of allows you to feel that level of confidence in law.
So, and one of the things that that is that I want to touch is that while Steph says that it's great that I'm invested, it's also awesome to see someone else that is invested. Someone that I want to go into battle with, someone that I know that maybe Steph, he's only 3 or 4 years out of school and he might not know all of the law and he might not know everything, but it's someone there who will take the time, who will do the research, who will do the work. It is just a constant, trying his best, doing his best, putting forth the effort. And you can't teach that in law school. You can teach in law school how to write a contract, how to review something, how to do research. That's all teachable. What's not teachable is the drive, the motivation, the passion, and all of those things. And it's important, and you can't teach that. You either have it or you don't have it. And I'm not sure if, speaking of having it or don't having it, if we still have Steph here. And if we do, awesome. I'm going to bring him back and I'll pose another question. And if not, I'm going to just keep talking and babbling on and on my own. So Steph, if you're here, let me know. If you're not, also, so nope, Steph has jumped off. Nope, Steph is now back. And again, so I'm going to try to ask him a question or two about maybe a law show. So Steph, do you watch any law shows on TV or Netflix? So that's going to be the question I have. Do you watch any law shows on TV or Netflix? And if so, what is it?
I do. I try to. Law shows, I would say more crime shows. I'm currently watching one on HBO Max right now called We Own the City, right? But I tend to see, well, it's more exciting when you're dealing with criminal law in terms of Netflix shows or HBO shows, right? Hardly likely are you going to come across a really excited show where they're talking about TCPA world or reviewing a contract, right? But in terms of law shows, I watch a lot of crime documentaries and so forth.
Have you seen The Lincoln Lawyer?
Lincoln Lawyer, one of my favorites. The movie, and there's a new show on Netflix, The Lincoln Lawyer. Pelican Brief is a great one. There are a lot of good shows. My Cousin Vinny, you can't forget that. That's a classic.
The new show of The Lincoln Lawyer.
The new Lincoln Lawyer is on my list, on my to watch list.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask Steph one more question about if he was in law school and had a chance to do anything again, would he do anything different? And then I will go ahead and wrap it up and we'll go from there. And again, the practice of law is just go with the flow, go with the punches. Today we're doing the best we can with some difficulties, and I'm just babbling on to try to fill time. No, I'm totally kidding, but this wasn't planned, and you go with the flow. And what are you going to do? Get upset? Crawl in a corner? Stick my tail between my legs? No, I'm not going to do that. We're going to go with the flow. And if I'm going to ask Steph, if you had one thing in law school to do again, what would you do different? And let's see what he says.
If I had one thing to do in law school that I'll do different, would be take more Florida specific law classes. For example, Florida civil procedure, Florida criminal procedure. But yeah, Florida topics. I can't stress the importance of really knowing, like, as if on like the back of your hand, knowing civil procedure for your specific state. And for me, my biggest regret was not taking more Florida specific classes, because from the minute you start interning, those are the skills that I really want to make sure that right? And that's you could get caught up real quickly on missing a deadline, right? I mean, some of the basic things, knowing how many days there is to respond to a complaint or to respond to a motion. I mean, you really overlook those things, or at least I did during my time in law school. So that would be one thing I'll do different. Really focusing and paying more attention to the Florida specific rules and laws.
All right, so I think we're going to wrap up with Steph in a minute. And Steph, how can people reach you?
All right, I just want to say thank Jason for having me on this show today. Thank everyone for hosting me today. And I'm going to put my email and my phone number into the box, and feel free to reach out with any questions. And I'll be back soon to answer any questions. And we're going to talk more about sports and athletes in schools. So once again, thank you for having me. And it was a pleasure speaking here today. And like I said, I'm going to put my information in there. Phone number is 954-573-2800. And my email address is stefan@jswlawyer.com. Yep. So there we go. stefan@jswlawyer.com. Phone number 954-573-2800. Thank you, everyone.
I just want to thank Steph. And I know he can't hear me, but look, we rolled with the punches. We did it. We got through a show where Steph couldn't hear us speaking at all. And we got to hear him, and we got to hear background. And I am going to go ahead and I'm going to dig at him forever and ever and ever on it. And it's going to be like, do you remember that time that you were in the Bahamas? Well, I'm going to have fun with it. But again, that is what the practice of law is about. It's not a rigid black, white, gray. It's not. That's it. Yes, the law is. You have black, you have white, you have law. I get it, 100%. But as a practitioner, we got to go with the flow. We got to roll with the punches, and we have to do what we have to do. And tons of times we'll do what's called hurry up and wait. Got to get it done, got to get it done, got to get it done. Get it to the client, and then crickets. And then a judge mandates something and you do it and crickets. So it's all go with the flow. It's all do the best you can. It's all just be the best person that you could be while practicing law at all times. If you have any questions, I am here for you. You can get me at askjasonweiss.com. You could check me out at jswlawyer.com. You could email me at jason@jswlawyer.com, or you can call me at 954-573-2800. I look forward to seeing you all again next week. We're going to do this again next Thursday, and I'm going to bring on another guest. And although I've been asked, bring Dr. Bogart back, having to do with the safety with guns, I'm going to. I promise. But we're going to wait a couple of weeks to bring him back. And I'm also going to bring in someone who's in law school and learning right now, so that in case any law school students want to listen, they can. Next week, I'm going to try to do something a little bit different. Fingers crossed I can get who I want. And if not, I'll get someone else who I want. Thank you all. Cece, you're awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. We did it today. We rolled with the punches, and you rock. And thank you, everyone. And thank you, goingsocialmedia.com. You are the best. Have a great day, everyone.